All right, guys. So, um, got a good one for you today. Which Avenger is the most trustworthy?
Okay. Who?
Yeah, got me.
The Credible Hulk.
Eh,
Ha
hey. That Bruce
Little
Banner.
dad joke to start off your Saturday morning. That's
I
Yeah.
love it. Hey,
Yeah.
timestamp in the video. Love that shit. Good stuff.
Oh.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Real Heroes Podcast channel. Kevin, Nick, and Corey here. You know, we're it's early. It's the day after the WandaVision premiere. We're excited to be recording. We're gonna break it down. Warning: there will be spoilers in this. So if you haven't
yeah.
watched the first episode of WandaVision, please go over to Disney Plus, watch it, save the video, come back and see us, and then get all sweaty and dive into it with us. So, boys, we start out Wanda and Vision in black and white and square format. Kevin, I'm going to defer to you because this is closer to the year of your birth. What did you like this episode?
Yes, I did, Corey.
Oh, come on, man. Growing up, you watched a lot of Nick at Night. I'm sure we all did. But
I did, and
okay,
referencing back to last week's episode, yeah, I did watch a lot of Nick at Night, and back when Nick at Night was worth a shit.
Yeah.
And they had a bunch of cool stuff like this. This reminded me so much of like the Dick Van Dyke Show and a bunch of those old '50s sitcoms. And it was,
Oh yeah.
it was lighthearted and a fun way to start off. I loved it.
cool. Nick, how about you? What do you think?
Yeah, very reminiscent of all the oldies. I think just from spending time with uh my grandmother, uh when I was super young, right? Like I Love Lucy, everything that was in black and white for the most part. Like Kevin mentioned, it was a huge throwback, and it kind of made me start thinking about some of those old episodes, ironically. But I really liked the was it the 4:3 ratio
Yeah.
that I was in.
Yep.
So I'm like, that's intentional. I like that.
Oh yeah.
You
Because
know,
back
I
in
knew
the
it was
day,
also cool.
yeah. We're so used to the full, however big
Yeah.
your TV is, that aspect ratio, like an IMAX or something, or 4K, and it's like, no, this is a little square now.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
It was also really cool hearing the sound change because you have this big,
Yes.
huge, grandiose Marvel intro, and as the aspect ratio changes, so does the sound, and it just goes right into your little center speakers, and it's like becomes a little tinny.
Yep.
It was fantastic.
I miss hearing that intro, that Marvel intro in theaters. Hearing that hit right here, and it's like, it's just not the same not having theaters and hearing that in a great atmosphere.
Did you notice they updated it a little bit too?
Yeah.
So they put some shots from Infinity War and Endgame in the intro, which is cool. So
yeah, it's awesome.
Exciting.
It was nice.
Yeah, man.
Good to see that again for the first time in almost 2 years.
Yeah,
seriously.
almost.
Like that.
Yeah, it's pretty close. So yeah, I loved it. I was hooked pretty much, by the end of the first episode. I thought it was
same.
Just terrific. I love, you both mentioned the Dick Van Dyke Show and I Love Lucy. The set is almost, like, I Googled it. It's almost identical to the Dick Van Dyke Show.
It is.
The way the front and back doors are set up, the transition to the kitchen, all that. Super cool.
I was almost expecting Vision to trip over the fucking ottoman coming
the couch, right?
Yeah.
Well, ironically enough, it looks like he's going to, and then he just phases through it as he's carrying her, which
it was hilarious.
Like all the little homages. And there was an interview that Kevin Feige did a ways back where he said that when they were in early development of the show, they actually they were out in LA, and it was Feige and Matt Shackman, who's the executive producer / director for the series. They had lunch with Dick Van Dyke at Disneyland to discuss like what was it like filming the show? What works? What doesn't work? What rules did you follow when you were making a show like that? And they applied those to it, and you could tell the love and the care for that is all there, which is really cool.
Yeah.
The I Love Lucy gag where Vision thought that um, the special occasion was dinner with the boss, and Wanda thought that the special occasion was their anniversary. So they
Yeah.
all come home, and she's all, sexied up as far as 50s attire goes, and candles are lit and everything. And then he brings two random people home that she's never met before. It got me. It was great. So really love that.
It was fantastic.
But boys, aside from the plot, which the plot was relatively simple because it's supposed to be like a 50s or a 60s sitcom where Wanda's a housewife, Vision goes to work, they have a misunderstanding as to what goes on, hilarity ensues, and then we roll credits, right? And it's pretty straightforward. However, this is a Marvel Cinematic Universe show. There are tons and tons and tons of Easter eggs, and I have copious notes because I watched them twice now, and I sent them to you guys. I want to run through some of them and get your thoughts on them. First one that stuck out to me: she hits Vision in the head with a plate, like 45 seconds into the episode, and he says, "My wife and her flying saucers," and then she says, "My husband and his indestructible head." Which the last time we saw Vision, his head got blown up twice.
Yeah.
Very, very meta, right?
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. The calendar in their kitchen, it reads August 23rd, which is on a Wednesday. I went to the calendar app on my iPhone, and there are only two different years that could fall on that would make sense for this show. One of them is 2023, which is the year that Avengers Endgame occurs in the Marvel timeline. The other one is 1961, which kind of timestamps when this episode was supposed to take place. We had a feeling it was going to be late 50s, early 60s. And the photo above the actual calendar for the month of August is a girl saying, "All I want is a color TV." And back in the day, color TVs were a very rare commodity. So, it places the show, in one of those time frames. So, Kevin, do you think that's just like a placement for them to say, "Hey, we're in like an early 60s episode," or do you think that's saying, "Hey, we're in August of 2023 and we're, weeks or months post Avengers Endgame, and this is where Wanda's at"?
Yes. I think it's likely both of those things. It's a very clever way to tie the two together and just say, hey, this is exactly when this is happening, and this is when she thinks this is happening. So
okay. Nick, would you agree with that?
Elegant.
I think so. I think, whether it was Feige or Shackman that, somehow looked up the two dates and just found them to work both ways and decided on it. I mean, that wouldn't surprise me. And I think it works. If it's not true, then maybe we just created something ourselves here. But
which is fine too.
Which is also fine. I mean, I think it works, perfectly for how things might end up in the future, like literally our future, for when movies start to come out in the MCU this year and the following years. So it would almost make sense as to like how things are, concurrently happening in the MCU, but by the time we get to the year 2023, it fits the mold.
Right.
So I think that could be very intentional to mark that date. I mean, who knows if something will actually come out on August 23rd, 2023. That would be pretty
awesome.
that would be money just for the sake of lining things up for plot and timelines.
Yeah.
I always thought that was an interesting choice in Endgame to go forward those 5 years, because then it's like, well, now you've stuck yourself in a permanent future timeline. unless you go real slowly and let the real world catch up to the Marvel universe. But yeah, man. So Agnes, let's talk about Agnes.
Thanks, coronavirus.
Yeah, tell me about it for real. Agnes is your nosy neighbor type, but I kind of feel like there's something up with her. She asks a lot of questions, and she tends to kind of in both the first 2 episodes, and we'll get into the second one in the next video, but she kind of steers Wanda into situations that aren't going to work out super well for her, which makes me think that there's a good amount of double meaning behind her character. And Nick, I think you made the connection with her name kind of being short for something. So do you want to maybe touch on that?
Yeah, I think she is Agatha from the comics, which this series seems to be following very, very closely. And Agatha was a real witch from the Salem witch trials, which obviously would go, and no pun intended, which it goes back quite a while. But at the same time, Agatha had very close relations with Mephisto.
Yeah.
So if that's true, then we have a better idea as to who the big baddie is in all this, and may or may not be pulling the strings here, or have some sort of inclusion into Wanda's mind. There's a lot that I don't quite know what to really safely predict because of how the episodes end.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I definitely think it's Agatha. Agnes is Agatha, and when she says "charmed," it's like, I see what you did there. I see what you did there,
Wanda.
So
charmed. How so? Tell me more. That's one cool thing about the show is it's going to be a slow burner. It's going to take its time, and it's going to peel the layers back very deliberately, which I think is something that a lot of Marvel fans, if they're not huge television fans, it might take some time for them to get adjusted to that, because they're used to the model where the entire story has to be told in 2 hours and 20 minutes. Now you've got this 6-hour format that Feige has talked about, and this one is broken down over 9 different episodes in the course of 8 weeks. It might be a little bit jarring for some folks, but I think it's great because it gives you time to really just kind of boil in with the characters and whatnot. But
it's also allowed, so far at least, Wanda to delve more into the whole witch aspect of her personality, which we see her use these powers sometimes, and it's more of like the just the telekinesis and stuff like that, but we don't get to see her just walking around being like a fucking Harry Potter witch all the time, using her magic to wash the dishes and stuff like she does.
She's got the whole really kitchen floating at one point.
Absolutely. It looks like a kitchen at Hogwarts or something.
That, and it looks like a lot of again, one of the old sitcoms, Bewitched. Which I love, again,
which they lean heavily into for the next episode.
Episode 2.
But again, seeing all that is just like, it's perfect. That's kind of what made me go, the show's going to be great.
And the way they shot those effects, they're all like practical, like everything's hanging on strings and all that, because it's meant to be like hokey gags from back in the 50s and early 60s, which is just awesome. So Agnes, Freudian slip there. She refers to this guy Ralph, her husband, a lot, but we don't see him in those first 2 episodes. Do you think Ralph is Mephisto?
Good chance. After hearing what Nick just had to say, I personally didn't put that together when I watched it, but I think there's a good chance.
It has to be. It has to be.
Kind of feel like it has to be.
Like it would. There's not like an anagram behind it, but I definitely think it's like, Ralph's not real, but Mephisto is.
It's just we're just funny code name. It's like the devil. Well, what's your elaborate nickname to fool these humans? Ralph.
It's like, it's a very interesting name to go with, but okay, let's go with it.
Hey, I trust Feige, so I'm going with it.
For sure. Yeah. That's fine.
The season finale is just going to be called Wreck-It Ralph.
Oh my, yeah. That'd be a cool
and
episode
it destroys
title.
the universe.
Yeah.
Yep.
Amazing. So good.
Ralph breaks the internet.
All right, boys. Let's talk about this toaster ad.
Dude.
Because
I was that.
I didn't know there were going to be commercials built in.
I didn't either.
That was so great.
It's hilarious because it makes you feel like you're watching an older show, and it was like that infomercial style, commercial. But we've got a Toastmate 2000, which is made by Stark Industries, which is kind of hilarious. The noise that it makes when it starts up is the exact same sound effect as Iron Man's repulsor cannon when it starts up on Tony Stark's suit, which I thought was a great little Easter egg.
So good.
The light on the toaster is red, which is the first splash of color that we see in the entire series. And then it also starts to flash and then gets faster and faster and faster until the toast is done, which kind of has like that impending sense of doom vibe behind it. And then the tagline at the end of the commercial is, "Forget the past, this is your future." Very interesting.
It's pretty telling.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty telling, and that's if I get my guess, that's that's just Feige's way of putting it out there that this definitely is happening post what we've already seen.
Absolutely.
This has nothing to do with what's happened in the past. This is absolutely something that is happening post Endgame, and also to say that maybe that is Wanda having visions. Well, no pun intended, but her brain trying to trigger in her, hey, this isn't real.
Right.
Yeah, I think they're telegraphing something to us. So I like it.
Pretty cool. I'm excited to see what every commercial...
Once again, though, elegantly done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every commercial is going to be important, I think, and it's going to hint towards the threat to come, which is going to be awesome.
Absolutely.
So, we got the return of Kitty from that 70s show.
Yeah, and she's fantastic.
So good, Deborah Jo Rupp. She's wonderful.
She plays that whole like ditzy 60s housewife so well
to a T
in this episode.
She's
perfect.
There's no Easter eggs there. She's just fucking awesome.
No, she's just great.
Great casting choice.
This guest is leaving your house now.
She does it with like that goofy smile at the end.
That's so great.
Hilarious. So back to Agnes, because she comes to try to save the day here at the end when Wanda's trying to make this impromptu 3-course meal. She mentions that her husband Ralph only likes baked beans, which is weird. And if that's what the devil likes to eat, then that's what the devil likes to eat. But the real interesting thing that she says here is this menu can be done in a snap. And it's almost like, guys, is that too on the nose? In the first episode, talk about the snap, which is what Thanos had to get the stone from Vision first to be able to do the snap, and then when he does the snap, Wanda goes away. So very, very funny little scene there.
I it's been some time, so I don't want to say too soon, but I think it was a quick way of including it in the series because it obviously had something to do with Vision and the Mind Stone. So and she does it too. She makes snaps to like have her witchery done in the episode. I think it's the first episode, right? She does it's something that
when she does the wardrobe change.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
she snaps her fingers and then she's all
it
of a sudden...
could also be a kind of a hint that Agnes could also do magic.
That's also what I thought.
Can be done in a snap. Maybe
how would she know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right.
Or maybe she does know.
Hey,
and maybe she's messing with Wanda. Yeah, there's good stuff in there. So all right,
I know what you are.
So hilarity ensues. Vision, Paul Bettany, holy shit, good for him. The comedic chops.
Yeah, man.
He's so great.
He's great at this
so
role.
Great.
Doing everything he can to distract them from the dinner table, singing Yakety Yak, which earlier in the episode he shares his disdain for it because the lyrics make no sense. And then playing ukulele and singing Old MacDonald with the hearts while Wanda's struggling is so funny. Wanda, she tries to make this dinner. It doesn't work out. She overcooks the chicken. She tries to rewind the chicken and it turns into a dozen eggs. And then she says, fuck it, let's make breakfast, which she says in the beginning of the episode. How do you feel about silver dollar pancakes, eggs, crispy bacon, or whatever? So they end up having breakfast for dinner with wine. So that's a choice.
Something new to try, I guess, right?
Very, very European, I guess. But then the sinister undertones start to come out at the dinner table, and Mrs. Hart and Mr. Hart are kind of badgering Wanda and Vision about, well, what's your story? How hard is it? Why can't you just tell us? To the point where Mr. Hart starts to choke on his food. And guys, I have a feeling that Wanda made that happen.
I think so
she
too.
made him choke.
Yeah, because they were folding under the pressure.
Silence her. Yeah, I think it was a way to she wanted him to be silenced.
Yeah, and the reason
I don't know
if
she did it on purpose though.
Yeah, maybe not on purpose, but I feel like she's in some level of control in what's going on in this. And the reason I say that is because at first, Mrs. Hart is looking at Mr. Hart and she's like, "Oh, honey, stop it. Stop choking. Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. Stop it.
Dude.
Stop it." But then you notice she turns to Wanda and starts telling Wanda to stop it, which is almost kind of like a meta, like, okay, Wanda, we know that this is happening and we know that you can fix it. So come on now, get with it. And then all of a sudden, that's what triggers her to get Vision to use his powers and make it stop. So,
well, regardless of whether Wanda caused it, Mrs. Hart realized that Wanda could stop it.
Right.
I think, and that's the key. There is that she had some kind of like some sense that Wanda had that level of control, whether or not she brought on the choking in the first place or not.
Right. And this is actually another throwback to the comics where Vision has like an android family. And at one point, to kind of just summarize, at one point they kind of get stuck, right? With computing, and they repeat the same thing. So I think that was like a great callback to the comics in this,
cool.
And if with her saying "stop it, stop it, stop it," which is also really creepy.
It is, and it could be.
She's just smiling with her glass in her hand. I'm like,
it could be hinting that not all the characters in this are real.
Yes,
it could be some type of simulation, or she could be some type of android, as it were. Who knows?
Right.
Because she doesn't necessarily know what to do in that instance, and kind of gets stuck in this like feedback loop.
Imagine if you were in their position, like Wanda or Vision's position, and that happened, and the guy's wife is just saying that, like, yo, you need to stop it. Like, chill out. I'm gonna save his life. Like, I'm gonna stick my hand right through his chest and pull whatever's out, but you need to chill.
That was also the very first time in this episode that we get to see Wanda be serious for just a second.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else has been so lighthearted and funny and all this kind of stuff and cute, and then all of a sudden she just goes, "Vision, help him." And it's almost like she's pissed that he hadn't done it already. It's just it's a strange feeling.
And it's very like another non-practical break of using powers to kind of go through, but it was just interesting to see, because it's still in black and white, to kind of see him stick his hand through his chest. It's like, I don't know how they would have done that back in the 60s or 50s. So here's how you do it in 2020 or 2021, whatever it was filmed. So it's like
very, very good scene. Very Twilight Zone-ish. I got those vibes from it, which is cool. But then he saves Mr. Hart, and they just get up and leave. Like they don't finish dinner, they don't keep drinking, they don't have any more conversation. Like, wow, look at the time, gotta go, it's 8:00, it's bedtime, because it's the 50s and 60s. And man,
the actor that's playing Mr. Hart, by the way, also nails the character.
Oh yeah,
100% nails the feeling of that, the boss who is he's in control, but he's also a little bit clueless. He's also kind of a dick, but he's not. And like he just, it's spot on.
There's that scene where Vision's like, so what do we do? And he's like, computational forms. And he's like, yeah, but why? And the boss is like, you're kind of dense, aren't you, Vision?
Yeah.
It's like, you're a walking, talking supercomputer. What are you talking about?
If we just change them from horizontal to vertical, we'll be able to fit more in the paper. It's
double the paper, double the price.
Yeah, it's like, wow, great.
It's good. It's like a reminder of how lighthearted things were back in the day. Like that was business strategy.
So,
like there's no Google SEO.
Doesn't Vision actually, when he says that, doesn't he actually call him a visionary?
I think he does call him a visionary. Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
The writing in this whole, I mean, especially through the first 2 episodes, but I think the whole show is just going to have these great lines and all these quirks and Easter eggs. So I'm looking forward to seeing the rest.
Yep, very sharp writing. Then we get they leave the fun little gag with the lobster on the door, and Kitty thinks it's a. She thinks it's a door knocker. Hilarious. Oh, that's so adorable. And she's just on her way out. But then they breathe a sigh of relief because they made it through the dinner party. They come to the realization that they don't have an anniversary. And they're like, well, today could be our anniversary. And she's like, we don't have a song. Well, Yakety Yak is our song. Yakety Yak. Obviously. We don't have rings. And he's like, well, Wanda, can't you make those? And she just, chaos magics some rings onto their fingers, and they have like a little miniature wedding, and they say I do, and Vision says they live happily ever after. They kiss, he hits a button on the television, roll credits, but as the credits are rolling, the aspect ratio shifts from the 4:3 that Nick mentioned, and it pulls out, and Sword is watching. And boys, Sword is officially here in the MCU, and that is exciting.
Ooh.
That is exciting.
Very. Can't wait to see where it goes.
I think the MCU version of Sword is different with the W meaning behind it.
I saw something about that. It's not like a
world.
Right.
It's weapon. It's weapon.
Yeah.
Or weapons.
Yeah. Sentient weapon.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting.
Which, if Vision wasn't a sentient weapon, then I don't know what is.
Right. Exactly. So.
So question is, who do you think is watching from that Sword compound?
Definitely looks like a female character. I just don't know who to really pinpoint because I don't know. It could be anyone really. It could be someone that they pulled from the comics. It could be someone that's completely made up, but I'm not too sure yet.
Yeah.
It's kind of a interesting task to have, though.
Colby Smulders.
Yeah, I wonder if it is
Maria
her,
Hill?
But Maria Hill, that'd be
interesting theory.
She just pops up all over the place, so you never know. It's like all of a sudden you turn a corner, there's Maria Hill. Holy shit!
Yeah. I didn't see her in the credits, but again, like they could just.
I didn't watch the credits because they were 7 goddamn minutes long.
Yeah.
I did just because I wondered if there was going to be anything in the credits or like.
I watched the first 3 minutes of it and then I was like,
Disney Plus does this thing where they go through the entire voice cast for every single language dub from around the world, and it turns the credits into like 8 minutes. However, if you look at the credits for both episodes, there's a voice on the radio in the second episode. They don't credit who that voice is because they're trying to keep the mystery. So deliberate, omissions from the cast are, I guess, a thing. But speaking of the credits, one final Easter egg for the episode. There is a guy in the credits for the old-timey TV show. His name is Abe Brown, Abe Brown was a classmate of Peter Parker in Spider-Man Homecoming. Which is relatively interesting because if he survived the snap and 2018 took him to 2023 and he was an 18-year-old high schooler, he's now a 23-year-old person. Could be a sword agent, could just be a random callback, who knows? But another thing that, you know, kind of timestamps where we are and makes it very clear that this is a very much post Endgame world. So and that's it for episode 1. That is a lot to talk about in 22 minutes of television.
It is.
Seriously.
Ooh, man, crazy. But after 560 something days, the MCU is back, and
so
you know, we're gonna move on in our next video, and we're gonna talk about episode 2, which takes us about 8 or 10 years into the future, into a nice late 60s television series. So, boys, any final words on episode 1 before we wrap this one up?
Great intro to a new series, new concept, new vision. but the old vision at the same time. No, great job. I again, I don't think we really knew what to expect, but I was hooked. I'm like, no, I'm in.
Yeah, they did such a fantastic job of paying homage to early television without I don't know, pandering, or, you know, it didn't come across as forced. It was just, the writing was fantastic. The jokes were legitimately funny. It was a throwback while also feeling a little bit modern. You know, I think in your notes at one point, Corey, you said this show is horny.
It is. It's so horny.
You know, my God. It is. But it's just enough there to hint at it. You know, the marital relations and all that kind of stuff. And it's just fantastic. It's exactly what I said I wanted on our last episode of the podcast, which was heartwarming, but also MCU at the same time. They somehow, the son of a bitch did it.
I know we're running long on time for this video. However, the horniness, guys. So the conversation in the kitchen where Wanda's like, who are these people? And Vision's like, what are you wearing? And he's like, checking her out. And then she's like, why are they here? And he's like, what are you wearing? And then he goes back again a few seconds later. He's like, but that outfit.
Dude.
And the conversation that they had on the phone too. Where, you know, she thinks they're talking about one thing, he thinks they're talking about another. He's like, well, my idea is make the wife happy.
It's like, well, I'm aiming to please the husband. And it's like, whoa.
It's like, hang on.
This is on Disney Plus, friends. This is a family show.
You're like, you're right. That is part that we didn't get to see.
What kind of phone call are we having here, guys?
Awesome. Good stuff. Well, great. Well, we're really excited, obviously, as you guys can see, to cover this show. There's a lot to break down, even in the short episode structure. So please make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so that way you don't miss any of these breakdowns, because we are going to be doing them for every single episode in very fine detail. In the next one, we are going to break down episode 2, which also came out this weekend. Can't wait to do that. Please make sure to check us out on all of our social media. You can find us on Twitter, Real Heroes Pod, Instagram, Real Heroes Podcast. And if you got any questions that you'd like us to answer on the show, or any theories you'd like to share with us, please drop us a line over at realheroespodcast@gmail.com. But until next time, we will see you in the next video.